And we're rolling. Hey, I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Francesca.
And this is our podcast, Critical Babe Theory. Welcome back.
Welcome.
Francesca, we're finally alone. Now we can just...
Oh my God, thank God.
We've had so many guests, which have been amazing, but we just really needed
We need a reset.
Yeah, we just work it out on the remix.
Yeah. No, that's better.
I'm just going to check the levels.
Yeah. I know. I keep wanting to use that word incorrectly. I'm feeling a little desultory.
Yeah.
Maybe I think I'm just thinking of like desolate. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, you're feeling desolate. Tell us more.
I just am like low energy. I was just saying to Sarah before we started that I'm in like summer like mom mess mode.
Yeah.
Where I've just been like full time taking care of babies, solo, no camp, no childcare.
Sounds terrible. I mean, it doesn't sound terrible, but it sounds hard.
It's just not the way nature intended things to be, you know. I guess like Siberian tigers do that.
Yeah, they have like they don't have to exist within capitalism. Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
How are you?
I've been feeling really mentally ill.
Uh-huh.
I continue to feel mentally ill from the news.
It's so funny because you just have such a sunny disposition. So whenever you tell me you're feeling mentally ill, I have such a hard time believing you. But of course I believe you because I respect you.
I can't help my cheery disposition.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard out there, and I think like finally a red line has been crossed for everyone.
Oh, but wait.
And that red line is
what's the red line?
Sydney Sweeney's ad campaign with American Eagle. Gone too far.
Dude,
You thought I was going to get right into Gaza. No, we'll talk about some other stuff
oh,
first.
Bitch, please.
I
also
know.
have to issue an apology. Actually, let me issue my apology before we get into Sydney Sweeney.
Who are you apologizing to?
Football players.
Okay.
It's kind of heavy.
Do you want to talk about that guy first?
I'm just going to say briefly, we don't have to get into we did a sports, our last episode was about sports, and the timing was really poor because then somebody who feels they are suffering from CTE, which is based on the findings, is probably he's totally right. This football player killed people in New York, former football player. And I'm just here to apologize and say that it is morally wrong to enjoy the NFL. And I do. And I don't really know how to circle that square.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, the Midtown Manhattan shooting was this guy, Shane Tamora. He was 27. He grew up in the suburbs of LA, and he was a high school football star. And he came to New York with a semi-automatic rifle, and he shot 4 people in a building that does have the NFL headquarters office. But he didn't... He made it there, and he did shoot one person who worked for like the NFL.
Not the Blackstone chick.
Well, he ended up shooting a bunch of people. I think maybe I don't know if he went to the wrong floor. These were just all people in the lobby, but I'm just like, okay, my levels are probably fine.
Okay.
So he shot 2 security guards. One was an off-duty NYPD police officer. He shot the CEO of Blackstone, and then another person, Julia Hyman, who worked at a management company called Rudent Management. And then he did end up shooting an NFL finance department staff member who is currently wounded.
Okay, but didn't die.
I think there's a couple of other people who are wounded.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading about this, and one thing that I saw, I could be wrong, so you could fact check me, but that was like, that actually what people didn't expect is that people who are athletes who die, because you can only check for CTE after somebody's dead. You have to like actually look at their brain and see if it has like lesions on it and stuff. That actually players who've died before the age of 30 who were it was thought that you had to be in the NFL for years and years to sustain this kind of damage. It actually appears to be not true, and it appears that even high school level players can have CTE, and obviously this is something the NFL has known about for decades. And I just want to say, like, as a diehard football fan, I feel I would say beyond ethically, I don't feel conflicted because it's clearly wrong to enjoy a sport that causes such incredible suffering and damage upon its participants. And yet I still love football. So I just wanted to say that I'm a hypocrite.
Well, we're all hypocrites, Francesca, but thank you for owning it. I think that means a lot to all of us. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if like I can get into the ethical complexities because I haven't thought much about it, but
it's fucking wrong as shit, dude. And look, I mean, like, I don't want to talk about this too long because there's really nothing more to say than like it's wrong and I'm wrong and it's bad, and in this area I'm bad is what I would say. Or there's no way to it's like you are not an innocent consumer of football, professional football in this country. But what I will say is there was a period of time for about like 5 to 7 years where I actually, when the first CTE stuff really started coming out, where I stopped watching football and I like became completely disillusioned with the NFL. I stopped watching. It had like, its drug had like eked out of my body and I just stayed at a reserve. And then about 5 years ago when I had my kids, it just like crept back up on me and I became like re-engaged and addicted makes it sound like I'm saying I have no responsibility, so it's not, but I just became like enthralled again to the National Football League.
I would say a very common experience in America. You're not alone.
I'm not alone, and that doesn't alleviate my guilt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So a couple of things about CTE. I mean, yeah, so as you mentioned, the new study finds that young football players in high school and college are sustaining comparable hits to professional football players. So I think the youngest person that's been diagnosed posthumously. How do you say that word?
Posthumously.
Yeah. Posthumously. Sorry. Was a 15-year-old.
Holy shit.
And they basically, like, all of the NFL player brains that have been donated to get autopsied, they've found CTE in it.
Yeah.
And so in 2015, the NFL settled a $1 billion lawsuit to compensate former players and their estates for brain injuries and degenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's, CTE, dementia, and Lou Gehrig's. So that's $1 billion. There's like a ton of people who have sued the NFL and a ton of people on behalf of like their deceased football player family members, and really fucked up.
What?
So they were using a cognitive, they were in their cognitive assessments of like how much they owed people out of that fund. They were using race norming, which evaluates Black people as having a lower baseline IQ than white people.
What?
Yeah, they were doing this until 2021. What? So when like a Black player came to the NFL and was like, here's my Alzheimer's diagnosis, like you owe me, you know, X amount of money, they would like give that player less money than a white player who has the same diagnosis and is the same age, because they were like, you started at a baseline lower than the white player. Yeah. Really dirty.
I mean, the NFL is notoriously like, they're basically like, who are those people in Nostra, the motherfuckers in Sicily?
Nostradamus?
Cosa Nostra?
Cosa Nostra.
Like the mafia in Naples. Like this bloodthirsty mafia in Naples. I mean, basically that's what the NFL is to America.
Well, it really is like if you think about it in the lens of like these players getting CTE, like it is kind of like a gladiator fight to the death sort of thing. Like you're not immediate death, but like.
But here's the other thing, Sarah, that maybe our listeners don't know, that the NFL used to always maintain that CTE was only caused by actual concussions, which is why they've now like bulked up the concussion protocol, and they've like made concussion proof helmets, which is like a complete fiction and fabrication.
And this $1 billion fund is called the Concussion Fund.
Exactly. But the reality with CTE is what they have found is that even small, it's consistent small level hits over time that create it. So actually concussions aren't even, you don't have to reach a concussion level for it to cause damage. So basically like the linemen especially, like they're getting hits every play. So it's like basically there is no way to play football and not get CTE.
I want to apologize for pointing out that Travis Kelce said he couldn't really read because now I feel really bad about that. I mean, he said it. It's a fact. But then I was kind of like, eyebrows raised. Like, you can get all the information you need from audiobooks and podcasts.
Totally. From even this podcast, you know. But
we're rooting for you, Travis Kelce.
But I do think it's shocking. And we all already knew it. All of us football fans.
I don't know, though, because I think...
I knew it. I'm taking a stand. I'm taking responsibility. I knew it, Sarah. I just chose to push it out of my mind because it felt like, in my calculation, the pleasure I get from watching football was worth more than pondering the moral quandary.
Yeah, I mean, I think for high school and college students, like... Yeah, I mean, I guess with the NFL, I'm thinking of like autonomy and people, if they have this knowledge and continue to choose to play, which like could be compared to many people who engage in extreme sports like rock climbing.
I know, but the people who end up playing football are primarily poor and black and don't come from as great as like economic background. So it's a little bit like, well, is it as much of a choice? Do you know what I mean? If you have like fewer opportunities available to you, can you really say like, then we're going to put the onus of choice upon you?
Yeah, and I'm sure they're not getting like a pamphlet handed out when they sign up that's like, here are the devastating brain injuries you will most likely suffer.
And also, and this is maybe more anecdotally, but I have been reading or hearing about that, like more and more white parents are like not putting their kids in, what's it called when the little kids play football? Tiny tots. There's some like special name or whatever. Pee-wee, I don't know. I can't think of it right now. But like that more and more white parents are not allowing their children to play football, which is just like going to exacerbate this like class and racial differences even more, which is, it's just like everything about the NFL is just so fucking gnarly.
Yeah, I would never let my child play football.
No, neither would I, for sure.
So are you not going to continue to watch football?
I don't know. The 49ers, they have the best schedule in the league this year. I don't know.
That's tough.
I don't know. I know I will be watching football this year. Yeah. Now, what happened before, like this must have been like 8 or 9 years ago when I like lost my taste, where like the new knowledge flooded through my system and I lost my taste for the blood sport of football. Like, inshallah, maybe that'll happen to me again, you know?
Inshallah. Yeah.
But I don't know. I just needed to take responsibility. So I wanted to start off that way.
Well, I'll leave you with his suicide note.
Okay.
Please study my brain. I'm sorry. The league knowingly concealed the dangers to our brain to maximize profits. They failed us. And he thanked several neurologists and a documentary about CTE. So remember that when you're watching football.
Remember that.
I'm kind of kidding, but I'm also not kidding. It's really sad. I was listening to like NPR was interviewing his old teammates and stuff, and like he sounded like he was just like this totally like great, normal, healthy young man, you know? Like everybody was like completely shocked. Like it's not someone who was like, oh, like he spent all this time on the internet and he got like black-pilled or whatever. Yeah. And it was like, no, like this was a person who was like having the experience of like going insane because of this brain injury, and like kind of wanted to like Luigi style it. Now, you know, he wasn't very efficient. There was a lot of other innocent people died.
I was thinking that, like, as a podcast, well, I'm going to say something a little outrageous, so I guess Sarah doesn't have to agree with me. I was just going to say, like, as a podcast, like, I feel like if you're going to engage in political violence, the only option is self-immolation.
I have recently been thinking a lot about self-immolation. I'm kind of not kidding.
I literally think that is the only acceptable form of political violence in the world, in today's world. Let's just keep it to that.
Yeah, like that's our official stance.
That's our line. That's the podcast line. That's what I'm proposing. I'm not compelling you to agree with it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I've been considering self-immolation because I'm not. Mm-hmm. But it has been flitting across my mind.
Okay, well, I'm glad we're on the same page.
Well, Dorothy Day actually has in her book, she has an essay that my friend read out loud to me one night. We were sitting in the West Village, and she did a dramatic reading. But it was basically about how, like, even though Dorothy Day, Catholic saint, she started the Catholic workers movement. She's, like, very radical, socialist Catholic. But she...
A Catholic to aspire to.
Yes, but like the church is they're kind of haters about her because she got an abortion before her conversion. Like,
as if somebody can't like be redeemed by the Lord. Come on.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Missing the point, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, she wrote this essay about her friend who self-immolated, and she was kind of saying that like self-immolation is not exactly suicide, you know, because like the church is like, if you commit suicide,
I would agree with that.
It's like a martyrdom.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. It is of a different quality, a sacrifice of a different level. That's true. But so is it the martyrdom aspect of it that appeals so much to you, Sarah?
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm willing to be martyred for the right cause.
Totally.
But you know, I think that we live in a society that does not appreciate self-immolation like it used to, because I think of that guy, Aaron Bushnell, I think his name was, who self-immolated as a protest for Palestine.
Yeah.
And he has long been forgotten about.
Oh, he hasn't been forgotten about by me, nor do I believe by the people of Gaza.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I guess like the mainstream, like you hold such a brief moment in the news cycle,
but I still like, have you watched, there's I know that multiple Buddhist monks self-immolated to protest Vietnam, but there is one video in particular that I think got the most. It's sort of like, have you ever watched that video before?
I have not watched the video, but I have seen photos. I don't feel like I could watch the video.
I would say that act of martyrdom has lived on as a symbol for like bravery and resistance in the face of complete inhumane destruction for now going on, how many years would that be? 60 years? Do you know what I mean? I think that those gestures, perhaps forgotten in the moment of their time, like they can transcend. I'm just encouraging you. I'm sorry, Sarah.
You're encouraging me.
I don't mean to be.
Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to self-immolate. I have too much to live for, like this podcast. No, I feel very invested in life, so I'm all good. You don't have to.
Yeah, I'm not.
I feel like this episode's gonna get taken down by Spotify.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I have to say that the censorship levels, because I didn't really ever engage that much with social media until Sarah and I embarked upon our huge political project, but the censorship aspects of social media.
Yeah. I mean, TikTok's just, it's China. It's very censorious.
China. It's China. But it's all censorious. It's just such a drag. I thought this was America.
Well, you know who would agree with you? A lot of conservatives, because guess what?
What?
Woke culture is trying to shame Sydney Sweeney for being a beautiful blonde woman with big tits.
I mean, I don't know. I literally saw this controversy and was like, who fucking cares about her ad?
A lot of people, literally the people who have commented on it are like, literally JD Vance has commented on it.
On her actual Instagram post?
On the ads, on the ad campaign.
What did he say?
I'll tell you. You have like a normal all-American beautiful girl doing like a normal jeans ad, and they have managed to so unhinge themselves over this thing. Did you learn nothing from the November 2024 election? They're going to attack people as Nazis for thinking Sydney Sweeney is beautiful. Great strategy, guys. That's how you're going to win the midterms, especially young American men. Can't say I totally disagree with him.
I can't say I totally disagree either. But also, like, who wears American Eagle? It's like for tweens. Do you know what I mean? Like, literally, it's irrelevant culturally.
Totally. So Sydney Sweeney did an ad campaign for American Eagle where the kind of tagline was like, Sydney Sweeney has great genes, but they did a play on like, sometimes they wrote it like GENES. So people were like, this ad is eugenics, you know?
Which I'm just like, I mean, maybe it's in mildly poor taste. That would be the greatest accusation I could throw at it. And also, like, why is she doing... She's got to fucking pick a lane with the SpawnCon and the promotional shit. She can't be a shill. And like, I say this as somebody who I love Sydney Sweeney. I think she's so fucking hot. I think she's such a good actress. What the fuck is wrong with her management team? She's literally shilling for like 17 different products right now, dude. Yeah.
No, so I can. Okay, so we've kind of been having this debate. Like, is Sydney Sweeney, does she come from money or not? I did some research. She does not come from money.
I fucking told you. I got a nose for it. That is a woman of the people. And as a result, her team is treating her like fucking white trash and letting her do way too much shit. And they're not gatekeeping her the way they should. They should be like, we have a star on our hands. We have to restrict access. She is a commodity. She's special. She's not only is she really hot, the bitch can fucking act, dude. She's fucking good. Like, why are they? It's a class issue, man. Her management team is treating her like white trash, and it is not okay.
Well, here's what she says. She basically was like, she says, if I just acted, I wouldn't be able to afford my life in LA. I take deals because I have to. If I wanted to take a 6-month break, I don't have income to cover that. I don't have someone supporting me. They don't pay actors like they used to, and with streamers you no longer get residuals. The established stars still get paid, but I have to give 5% to my lawyer, 10% to my agents, 3% or something like that to my business manager. I have to pay my publicist every month, and that's more than my mortgage. So she's pretty open about the fact, like, when she was starting out her career, she like literally lived in a one motel room with her parents and her brother.
Yes. And here's the thing though, is like, I hear that, I respect that, but I'll tell you, Margaret Qualley's team, you know who Margaret Qualley is, the son.
She's a huge Nepo baby.
She's a huge Nepo baby, the daughter of Annie McDowell and some other motherfucker. Like, her team would never let her do all this promotional. If she needed the money, they would say, okay, we're going to get you 1 or 2 huge deals, not like 15 little dinky pieces of shit deals. It is a class issue, and I will fucking die on this hill that Hollywood is treating her like trash because she doesn't come from fucking money.
Yeah, you know what? I think, sure. Yeah, I'll agree with you. She has a partnership with Baskin Robbins.
Dude, come on.
She partnered with this, this is really weird, this online men's personal care brand called Dr. Squatch, and they did a limited edition soap bar release containing this allegedly some of her bath water, which she said was an idea that she pitched because people, Listen, I do think, yes, I agree with you, but I also think she does realize, how tenuous fame is, and that at any point the industry could turn against her. I think it only takes, being in a couple of movies that flop for them to turn to the next ingenue.
I just the money that she's bringing in on these deals, to me, if with my nose smelling it, is not bringing in that much money. I just think her team should be focusing on higher yield promotional stuff.
Maybe you should be Sydney Sweeney's team.
Literally, Sydney, if you're listening or watching this, call me. I have nothing but your best interests at heart. I fucking respect you, and I see you for the woman that you are, and I would never treat you that way. Full stop.
Well, so the ad itself, so these are some of the Instagram reactions to the ad. I mean, listen, I think American Eagle, failing mediocre brand, right? Cannot distinguish itself from our Abercrombie and whatever, Levi's and a million other one step up from fast fashion, I guess. I mean, they're still fast fashion, but they're not Shein,
Uh-huh. They don't disintegrate upon touch. You know what I mean? They maybe last 3 washes or something.
Yeah. But they're the jeans that she's hawking are on sale right now for $40.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So it's pretty.
So that sounded so bitchy.
And I was looking at the Instagram post before this ad campaign. They were getting 800 likes, which is not a lot.
So did they purposefully do something a little in poor taste to try to excite fervor?
For sure. For sure. Okay. They definitely 100% knew what they were doing. This is a total, this is very purposeful. And people really picked up on it. So I'm going to read some. I'm going to do a dramatic reading of the Instagram comments. People can't even be white and wear jeans anymore. You guys are sick. Beautiful commercial. Stay strong, American Eagle. Okay. The world is healing. I'm headed to American Eagle to buy as many jeans as I can. American Eagle, bravo. Please bring back beautiful women who are fit. Clap, clap, clap. American flag ×7. I don't wear jeans, but now I will. This was one of my favorite ones. As an Iranian Jew, I love this ad. And then a bunch of people who are like KKK and Eagle, you know. Okay, a MAGA /AE collab.
Can I just say what this is really about? What this is really about is that it's totally socially acceptable for, what's her fucking name? Kylie Jenner to get, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of like surgery to look the way she looks, right? It's like more socially acceptable to pay your way to beauty than to just be born as a freak of nature like Sydney Sweeney, like Sarah here to my left, a fucking gorgeous white chick with blonde hair and big tits. Yes, that's special. It's special because it just doesn't happen that often. And instead, but you know what would be okay? If Sydney Sweeney if her tits were fake, I don't think any of this shit would be going down. I think what people don't fucking like is that this bitch didn't have to buy it. Do you know what I mean? She didn't have to fucking buy it. She just got it. Is that fair? I don't know. It happens. Some motherfuckers have those like really cool green eyes. Do you know what I mean? Like that just happens, right? It's like, I think people hate her. God, maybe I'm going to be accused of being a eugenicist. People just hate her because like she just got a roll of the dice. And it's a tight one. And nobody can fucking buy their way into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, yes, of course.
Like, if she had those faked... Like, Kendall Jenner is showing her fake titties. No, Kylie Jenner is showing her fake titties up and down the internet all the time, and nobody gives a fuck.
No, because you can never make that ad with Kylie Jenner, because it's like... Or whichever Kardashian, because it's like they don't have
jeans. They have no jeans.
Or, yeah, they've rejected the ones that they have, and they've bought their whole face and body. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, look... my whole thing is like, could we channel all of this liberal outrage into something productive? Like, are you really gonna get this mad about a brand that like sells $40 jeans that were like
tweens,
obviously made with sweatshop labor? Totally. You know what I mean? Like how, like I think that's like why like DEI, liberal, woke, cancel culture like failed so hard, because it's like it's so about virtue signaling and not about the actual underlying issues, which is like maybe we shouldn't buy jeans made by like
children in Bangladesh.
Yeah, where they're paid like $1.50 a day.
I mean, I think sometimes less. And the factories are collapsing and people are dying because of large scale fires because there's no fire safety. You know what I mean? The question is like,
it's like Triangle Shirtwaist Factory vibes over there
every fucking day.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. So I think it's just, but like also I think that I think that the outrage, which is like largely in Instagram comments and tweets and whatever, is capitalized by the media, one, for clicks, but also, this was interesting, Fox News devoted 85 minutes to the ad backlash over 4 days compared to 3 minutes covering Epstein and Trump's latest comments about their relationship. So it's like these people are like using it to churn out outrage. They know they're down, you know, like they know that like people are pissed about Epstein, people are pissed about Gaza,
people are pissed about tariffs.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, like this is a reminder of like why you voted for us, because we love blonde women with big tits and we're not afraid to say it. Like, Francesca,
you know what? Like I love blonde women with big tits.
Yeah, and it's all good, but
fucking wrong with that, dude. I'm not saying that only blonde women with big tits should exist, right? Like, as you know, like there's all kinds of hot chicks. That's what's so amazing about women, is there's just all different kinds of really hot chicks. You know what I mean? And I would say me and many of us, like, we're just so excited about all the different kinds. You know what I mean? But I just fundamentally think this is a class issue, because I think if fucking Sydney Sweeney was rich, people would have been like, yeah, you do have good genes, because they feel more like what's really virtuous is to have money and privilege, right? That's what I think. I just think they wouldn't have taken her down for 1 second if she was some fucking nepo rich bitch. Because I would have been like, oh, yeah. Wealth. You have wealth. You must be special. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, using Gene spelled Genes was, like, I mean, I think I agree. I get what you're saying, but it's like American Eagle knew exactly what they were doing. They, like, wanted everyone, like, they're getting so much press from this. Like, they knew that it was going to spark this exact reaction. So, like, totally. You know.
And their stock went up and shit.
It went up, it went down.
So they were just smart.
But then they also just posted a photo of this black chick wearing jeans, and they were like, AE has great jeans. I was like, oh my God, just like dragging out this poor black nameless model to do like semi-damage control for their liberal consumers.
Oh my God. They should just stand up like me and say that they're hypocrites. You know what I mean?
American Eagle loves the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it all just doesn't matter, man. You know, it's like, especially in light of what our main topic is today, it's like fucking irrelevant.
People also are like ready to people have a theory already that Sydney Sweeney is MAGA because she like went to Jeff Bezos' wedding and she like never comments on politics and she like
let a bitch be a fucking conservative. Who fucking cares?
Totally.
She's an actress, dude.
Yeah.
Have you talked to them? They're fucking brain dead.
You're an actress.
Yeah, I would say I speak from experience. Like, not people whose commentary on the political machinations of our world I particularly give a fuck about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like caring about like what your postman's political affiliation are. Do you know what I mean? It's irrelevant to the job. I think it's time for the idea of like people in the entertainment industry of being like public figures who like have some sort of need to guide their fans. Like, let's just keep them. I want to keep the motherfuckers in a box in Hollywood.
But it's just too late. They already are these figures, you know? I think that's why people, like, they do have too much influence.
But they don't, because look who was trotted out for Kamala, right? Like literally every celebrity got trotted out for Kamala. Like, nobody gives a fuck anymore.
You raise a good point.
Like, time is over. Yeah.
Did you see that Katy Perry's dating Justin Trudeau? Isn't that so funny?
It is funny, and somehow it seems so perfect. I feel like you learn so much about people when they date somebody weird. I was like, oh, I guess Justin Trudeau was always a joke.
Yeah, have you ever seen that video of him falling down the stairs? No. It's the craziest thing ever. I'll put it in the show notes, but he's like, yeah, I have this really fun party trick where I pretend to like fall down the stairs, and then he just literally throws himself down the stairs. He probably has CTE for his party trick. He's a freak.
That's really embarrassing. Yeah, I mean, celebrities are embarrassing, so they should just be in movies and not talk. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So, but Sydney, we're thinking of you, and we thoughts and prayers. So
she's fine. She's totally fine.
No, I mean, I hope like she gets a better manager and better deals. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, congratulations to all the people who just started wearing jeans this week for the first time in their lives. The Iranian Jews who went straight to American Eagle. So weird. I like never know if people are bots or real anymore. Anyway. All right, well.
I feel like I need to go get the vape that I've hidden behind.
You have a vape?
I know it's hidden. I just remembered it because this is so stressful. I feel like maybe I need to go get it.
Okay, get the vape.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Okay, yeah. I can keep talking.
Yeah, you keep talking.
Can you check that and make sure it's still recording? Yeah. Okay, so we've done our little celebrity. We've given you some great celebrity gossip because we're going to get into what's happening in Gaza, which is really what has been personally making me feel actually like I have CTE. So, okay, where do you want to start? I guess what I want to talk about is the New York Times, and I want to talk about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. I guess, like...
You go. You're way more prepared than I. I have just vague moral outrage.
All right. So I guess what's happened in like the past week, honestly, like it happened almost overnight where like public opinion about Palestine, like kind of there was like a shift, you know? And like I don't know why that is. Some people think maybe it's because the New York Times posted this photo of this starving child.
But didn't they then retract it and say he was suffering from another illness ahead of time?
Yeah, so this is like prime example of why the New York Times is like quite honestly like enabling this genocide. They issued a correction where they were like, this child actually has some pre-existing conditions. And it's like, okay, sure, but like that doesn't mean that the child is not suffering from malnutrition.
Thousands, and there's so much photographic evidence of this, as if like refuting that this one child. I mean, like
yeah, and like the reason why I feel like so mad at the New York Times for doing that is because, first of all, it's irrelevant to the fact that the child is starving. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm sorry, but like everybody has, like I have a thyroid condition.
Yeah.
If I'm starving to death, you know?
Doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Bitch
like
just doesn't have any food.
Yeah. And like all of these other outlets like the New York Post like latched onto this and we're like, see, there's no starvation. And like we're also getting this from Netanyahu, who's maintaining there's no starvation in Gaza. So it's like to me, it was like very irresponsible journalism. And like I kind of feel like they did it on purpose.
Of course they did it on purpose. They're building the New York Times. In my opinion, I guess I'll just start with major shots fired. In my opinion, the New York Times holds a huge amount of culpability for the ongoing genocide and war in Gaza, because if they had come out back a few months after it started, if their editorial board had written an editorial saying like what Israel is doing is not acceptable, I believe the Democrats in power, bloodthirsty Joe Biden and war criminal she's my war criminal Kamala would have fucking changed their tune, because that's how much power the New York Times has as the only fucking remaining major newspaper. They have that power, and they chose to shirk that and pursue their other pro-Israel agenda.
Yeah, so the New York War Crimes, which is a bi-monthly protest publication associated with Writers Against the War on Gaza, does like a parody of the New York Times, and they publish a dossier of pro-Israel bias in New York Times journalists that is more importantly not disclosed to readers. And they profiled 16 current journalists and 6 past journalists who are all on record as being very pro-Israel, pro-Zionist, and having ties to the IDF and Zionist organizations.
Have even served in some cases in the IDF.
Yeah. So people like Brett Stevens, who last week, he wrote a literal sociopathic op-ed entitled "No, Israel's Not Committing a Genocide in Gaza." Did you read it?
I can't actually read him. I do not read him.
It's really infuriating. So he said, if the Israeli government's intentions and actions are truly genocidal, if it is so malevolent that it is committed to the annihilation of Gazans, why hasn't it been more methodical and vastly more deadly? Why not say hundreds of thousands of deaths as opposed to the nearly 60,000, which everybody agrees is...
There are hundreds of thousands of deaths.
It's definitely an undercount.
Because of the people who are buried in rubble and have not been counted children. I would say, I bet at the end of it, it's above 200,000 people. Yeah.
For sure. And then he also writes, I am aware of no evidence of an Israeli plan to deliberately target and kill Gazan civilians. So then here I just have a bunch of quotes.
From officials in the Israeli government.
Yeah. Here, do you want to read them?
I would love to read them. Benjamin, should I start with the Netanyahu?
Yeah, go for it.
Quote, Gaza is a city of evil. We will turn all the places in which Hamas deploys and hides into ruins. I am telling the people of Gaza, get out of there now. We will act everywhere and with full power.
Now, people of Gaza cannot leave Gaza. So, like, get out of where? You know?
Okay, so sit on that for a moment. Which one do you... Okay. Isaac Herzog, the president of Israel, quote, there are no innocent civilians in Gaza. So they're saying newborns, women, not innocent.
They're all future militants.
All future militants, and therefore it is okay to kill them. Okay. Let's see. I don't know how to say his name. Yoav Gallant. Okay.
He's the Minister of Defense.
I have ordered a complete siege on the Gaza Strip. There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. Everything is closed. We are fighting human animals, and we are acting accordingly. That was said like a couple weeks after October 7th.
Yeah,
maybe
that was
said.
Some of these quotes they're between 2023 and present.
And then I'll read one more. We will eliminate everything. If it doesn't take one day, it will take a week. It will take weeks or even months. We will reach all places. We will end things inside Gaza. I have removed all restraints. You're allowed to attack everything, kill those who fight us, whether there is one terrorist or there are hundreds of terrorists, ordering to attack through the air, the land with tanks, with bulldozers. By all means, there are no compromises. Gaza will not return to what it was.
Yeah, so like there are thousands of these quotes. Yeah, the IDF writing on artillery shells, God willing, it will hit innocent people. So, like, the idea of, like, trusting Bret Stephens as a source, like, that they're, like, he's just wrong. He's just wrong. There are comments after comments from Israelis saying that their intent is to destroy Gaza and its people.
Which is AKA genocide.
Yeah. So, like, the fact that the New York Times is, like, letting people write these opinion pieces is crazy.
Also, and I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, about how the opinion section of the paper is just getting... Did we talk about this? Getting bulked up more and more and more. There was this article in New York Mag, like, within the last month called How the Opinion Ate the Paper. Like, they're just funneling all of these resources into opinion. Mm-hmm. So it's, like, clearly... the New York Times is more interested in its opinion shit. And I would say, therefore, they have a higher bar of responsibility, right, for what they say. But actually, they're, like, lowering the bar. You know, I don't have this as a fact. But, like, my thought would be that if they were doing, like, the regular reporting in the newsroom, which is distinct and different from the opinion section, that you wouldn't be able to have somebody say something like that because it's so contrary to what's on the record.
Yeah, this is what I've been thinking a lot about, is, like, how liberals were so obsessed with this idea that, like, Trump was pushing up, like, alternative facts. And, like, liberals were like, there's one truth, you know? And I'm like, if you're writing two op-eds and one is there's a genocide in Gaza and one is there is no genocide in Gaza, it's like, you know, like, there's things that you can have two sides about, but, like, to say that, like, Israel has shown no intent to destroy civilians in Gaza, like, you got to fact check that. I'm sorry, but it's so irresponsible. Yeah.
Cancel your subscriptions.
So actually,
throw paint on their doors,
which someone did. Mm-hmm. They wrote NYT lies, Gaza dies, and the New York Times didn't report on it.
Like, they threw a lot of fucking red paint all over the building.
I kind of wanted to go and see if they had cleaned it all up.
So I was trying to get a hold of my source in the Times, who is definitely freezing me out right now, to find out, like, what the emotional tenor is there. Yeah. So hopefully I can get back to everybody soon on that.
I mean, this has been going on for months, and every time I go to a protest, they stop in front of the New York Times building and shout. So it's like, it must be, I don't know, like, you must either be, like, extremely committed to, like, the pro-Israel side and have, like, complete blinders on, or it must be, like, a very tense situation there.
I mean, my question, and perhaps there's something sick and depraved about this, but my question is, like, how does Ezra Klein feel about this? Do you know what I mean? He's like the kind of the most popular thought leader at the Times, right? He has done some reporting about how terrible stuff is in Gaza, but I would imagine that if he really cared, I'll throw down the gauntlet. Ezra, if you really cared about the people of Gaza, you could have made it your quixotic quest for the New York Times to be responsible for their reporting about what's happening there. Why the fuck didn't you do more?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a reason, and it's because, like, unfortunately, I think they just don't care. I think the lives of Palestinians just don't matter to them.
I will say that something I heard early on, so this is anecdotal, I heard from at least two people, this is like in the first few months after October 7th, when bringing up, like, all of the civilian casualties that were happened. I think even at that point, because it was in maybe the first week or two that the deaths of Gazans outstripped the deaths of Israelis on October 7th, I believe.
Yeah, it was very fast.
I remember I was like talking about it with a couple of people, and a couple of different people were like, but look at their birth rates. I mean, it's just not the same when you talk about like Jewish deaths and Palestinian deaths, because the Palestinians, they have such high birth rates, and we've like barely replaced our population. And I was like, wait a second. Are you saying that your life has more value than other people's lives?
That is that is the Zionist.
I think that is like the underlying idea here, is that certain kind of lives have more value than other kinds of lives, which is like, I see how conservatives could get behind that because they're kind of into that shit. Sydney Sweeney's life matters, you know what I mean, more than others. But like liberals, Democrats are not supposed to believe that some people have more value than others.
Yeah, and I think this has always been the blind spot of Israel, you know, is that
if you create an ethno-state, it's going to be problematic. You can't really be a liberal ethno-state.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, and that was something in the dossier. It was one of those New York Times journalists had like literally written that like Palestinians seem relatively like ho-hum about like losing family members or something, like which I'm like, okay, we've like, she said that like back in 2013 or something. It was like in a Facebook post, so it wasn't in the New York Times, but it's like people who really see Palestinians as less than humans.
Yeah, subhuman, animals.
And then there's this other contingency that sees it all as like a Hamas conspiracy. And I think that's like for a couple of reasons, but one, I think that like the truth, like if I could believe that like this was all Hamas propaganda, I would.
Oh my God, please. I would love it if this were just Hamas propaganda. That would make me feel so much better about the situation.
Like that's what I think, like with the conspiracy theory stuff, it's like it's so much easier to believe that than like the truth.
Yeah.
The truth is so much more painful and intolerable.
Which is that America is funding bombs that kill children.
Yeah, and continues to, even this week. So, like, did you see about AOC?
No, tell me.
So, Marjorie Taylor Greene has recently come out as, like...
I saw that, and I was like, I'm willing. Like, sometimes a bitch is right. You know what I mean? That's what I thought when I saw.
Yeah.
Sometimes a bitch is right.
I made a video about this, but I'm like, yeah, she's having a normal human response to seeing the levels of suffering in Gaza that we have all seen. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like, you know, like... Agamemnon, Cassandra.
Yeah.
She was granted the gift of prophecy, but then something happens and she's cursed, and so no one believes her. And it's like, that's what I feel like everybody, like the New York Times today posted an article, and it was like, how did the starving happen in Gaza? And it's like, what do you mean? Like, people, like humanitarian groups have been saying for months that this was inevitable.
For years.
Yeah.
They've been blocking. I mean, even in the first 3 to 4 months, they had severely curtailed because already Gaza was surviving on these numbers are not quite right, but something like 65 trucks a day were coming in with humanitarian aid to Gaza October 7th, just because it's a barricaded, it's isolated, right? And then it was like trickled down to like 10 or 15 trucks a day. So they were already getting like way less than they needed to just survive, you know? So it's like, obviously they're gonna fucking starve. They don't have a way to get anything. Also, here's what I'm wondering. I've seen pictures of Gaza. Where the fuck, like, okay, sure, maybe there's like a couple dozen Hamas, like where the fuck is Hamas? Like what the fuck are they like, if they still exist, they don't seem like they would be that threatening to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, everywhere's been destroyed. Everything's rubble. Like, are they really the huge threat still that Israel says they are? It's just, I just don't see how that's conceivably possible.
Yeah, and I just read an article by David Remnick in The New Yorker about Israel's, like, very brief war with Iran that we all just witnessed. Mm-hmm. And he was just talking about Mossad targeting Hezbollah with like such precision, like the beepers and like the
which was incredible from like from a technical standpoint. That beeper shit was insane. So like they're clearly very good. So if they, sorry to interrupt you, if they could do that, then it might follow that they fucking destroyed the shit out of Hamas because they've been doing it for 2 fucking years.
I know, but the whole rhetoric of Netanyahu is that we have to take out Hamas. If you take out Hamas, there is no reason to continue this war. And I really want to talk about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Yeah. But like behind the scenes, there are consulting groups, that Boston Consulting Group, that are calculating the cost of what it will take to relocate each Palestinian.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
McKinsey was like, oh, this one maybe we'll pass on. So Boston, the number 2, was like, we'll step in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to forget that just last weekend, an article came out in the New York Times Magazine, which is like, again, they're like all over the place reporting, saying that the only reason, this huge article, headline article, about how the only reason that the war is still happening in Gaza is because Netanyahu has done it to make sure he remains in power. You know?
Absolutely. And that's why he continues to start new conflicts in the region. I mean, apparently this is what I've heard from a couple of sources, including David Remnick's article, but like apparently like the news in Israel, it's like people are not actually like hearing that much about Gaza. They don't want to know, and the media is not telling them.
Well, this just broke through this week. So I was just listening this morning. So I have to say, as people who are highly critical of the New York Times, I also consume a lot of New York Times journalism, which I feel like, because I want to keep a fucking eye on what they're doing.
You have a subscription to the New York Times.
My ex has a subscription to the Times, which I am the benefactor of. Okay. I do not pay the New York Times. So just today, there was a daily episode about how this one fairly prominent journalist in Israel on their like nightly their nightly news show actually said something along the lines of like, if we have to talk about like what's happening to the civilians in Gaza, and everybody kind of flipped out. But allegedly just this week, the tides are turning in Israel itself of like a conversation and reporting about what's happening in Gaza as we speak right now.
Yeah, and that's not to say that they cannot hear the bombs. I mean, and in some cases see the bombs. Yeah, like people are living in active ignorance.
Yeah,
because again, I think it's too painful. Yeah, you know, for the average human being to acknowledge that like this is happening. You know.
Did you see the movie Zone of Interest?
No, but I know what it's about.
It came out last year, and it was about like this SS officer who was in charge of, it's Auschwitz, right? Who's in charge of Auschwitz, and like it just was like about his life right next door to Auschwitz. You never even really see Auschwitz, and I have to say there was like the parallels between that and then pictures of like Israelis on the beach drinking pina coladas, where like a couple miles away Gaza was having the fuck bombed out of it. It's like, it's just the cognitive dissonance there is, I have a hard time understanding how you maintain it.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And I would say the same thing of here.
Yeah.
But I think
people are waking up. A red line has been crossed. I agree with you. I don't know what the mysterious thing. I wonder. So my theory is that Trump said that shit about like, maybe those kids look like they're starving. They look very skinny, whatever weird shit he said this week. I was like, I'm sure he said that so that people would stop talking about Epstein. But if like, that's what it needs to take to like turn the tides on this conversation in American politics, like, so be it.
This is my really dark take, is like, I don't think that people can look at I think it's the photos of the starving children that cross the line, because you can't have a photo of the body of a child that's been blown up.
So I literally just on Instagram, like 3 or 4 days ago, saw a child, maybe 3 years old, with an arm missing that had been blown off in a bomb. I don't know how, like
in the immediate aftermath of that?
Yes, in a hospital, a 3-year-old child with their arm blown off. Video, not photo, video. And I will not be able to ever unsee that. And I don't know how that got through Instagram, but like, it's fucking out there. You know what I mean?
But you have to be willing to see it. And
I wish I had not seen it, because it's like, it is burned in my mind. And I have a 3-year-old. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, like, the pain and terror of a child who's like lost a limb, and they weren't even being like, it's not like I didn't see them on an operating table. They were literally just there with their arm blown off, screaming, waiting for help. And there's like nobody there to help them, because there's not even fucking hospitals, because you know what? Israel bombed them all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's Yeah. I think this will be the moral stain of the 21st century. And I think, yeah.
And we're barely into the 21st century.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, before we continue, I just back to the AOC thing.
Yeah, tell me.
Sorry, I just there's nothing to say to that. I agree with you. It's beyond comprehension. And Gaza has the largest population of child amputees in the world. They actually had to invent a new term, to label children where it's like sole surviving member of the family. The children that came to the hospital and there was no family left. It's yeah. That's why, yeah. I went to a protest and it was people were filming and laughing, and I'm just how either soulless or brainwashed do you have to be?
Fucking craven.
But then I look at the leadership and I'm they're continually signing off on this, and so for example, AOC, who's been pretty outspoken about Gaza, Marjorie Taylor Greene introduced an amendment to the 2026 Defense Appropriations Act, which is the Department of Defense spending bill that would have eliminated $500 million in U.S. military funding designated for Israel's missile defense, including the Iron Dome. And AOC voted against it. And so what she said was that it wouldn't have helped Gaza because the money was allocated for defensive military capabilities, like the Iron Dome, and
as
not
if we
offensive.
think they're so particular with their accounting. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. I'm do you not know how money works? Money goes into their account. They're using it for whatever they want. I'm pretty sure there's not an Israeli audit going on.
Being oh, let's just make sure this one's just for defense.
Yeah. So it was totally the wrong decision. And then afterwards, she ended up voting against the defense bill. Okay. So she claims that now she's coming out and being I did vote against it. But it's no, bitch, you voted against that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm getting myself confused about the amendment versus the bill. Saying. She voted both against the amendment and against the bill. So I'm okay, but you had the opportunity to just which I know I was shitting on, but virtue signal that you were willing to stand with the 7 other people who were we need to cut off funding from Israel. Mm-hmm. And you chose not to.
You chose not to.
So honestly, fuck AOC.
Fuck you. You're just a hot bartender, bitch. Without any fucking principles.
Hope you get an American Eagle ad sometime soon, because that's all you're good for. And then similarly, all of these Democrats, including Chuck Schumer and Gillibrand and Cory Booker.
They are literally hopeless.
Yeah, they wrote some milquetoast letter to Marco Rubio that was basically please go back to the negotiating table and try to get a ceasefire and free the hostages and get more humanitarian aid, whatever. And then two nights ago, Bernie Sanders introduced a joint resolution of disapproval to once again block bombs and arms from going to Israel, and everyone was nope. I
don't think Hakeem Jeffries has even, as of a couple of days ago when I was reading Maybe Something Strange, has even said anything about Gaza. Yeah. This is our bold democratic leadership, guys.
Yeah, and I think cynically, I think a part of them saying any statements about it is just they want receipts for when it's. This is another cynical take. I think people are comfortable. This is really hard. I think people are comfortable to start speaking out about Gaza because it's at this point too late.
Whoa.
I think that it's
whoa.
I wish that wasn't true, but for example, malnutrition. Even if these children survive,
they're fucked.
Yeah, the effects that malnutrition can have on a person can last for generation. You know what I mean? It's they are not children who are not getting proper nutrition during their developmental stages. They're not going to be okay.
I would guess that kind of what the Israeli ministers are saying is try that population level now, bitch. You know what I mean? What's a way to totally curtail the Palestinian population, make it so everybody's either dead or so malnourished that they can't have kids. you know?
Yeah, like they're going to have physical problems. They're going to have mental problems. Like, I think that, like, that's when you say that, like, Israel has no interest in, like, harming the civilian population. It's like starving an entire civilian population is genocide. It is a genocidal act. And
why can't we just take the Israelis for their word? Like, why can't we just show them the dignity and the respect to believe what they're saying? That's a big thing that I practice in all my relationships. When someone tells me something, I listen to them.
Yeah, when they say we want to destroy
everything.
Yeah.
Like, nothing will stop us. We will stop at nothing to destroy Gaza. I give people the dignity of believing them, you know?
Yeah, and like those are the things that the New York Times is not reporting on when Netanyahu says that. Yeah. So,
is it time to withhold taxes?
I'm personally withholding taxes, although I just simply could not pay for them, but now it's conveniently a political movement. I think I have to pay my taxes at some point, but I can't, so take that. I'm a conscientious objector. Okay, so
but you know what we won't do? Like
what?
Those fucking pussies.
What?
Like what are the names of those goddamn leading American intellectuals who are all moving to Canada and are not, like Anne Applebaum, the leading scholar, like leading journalist on like authoritarianism. She's in the Atlantic all the time. Has that bitch said anything? No. Timothy Snyder, who wrote that book that everybody like jizzed all over right when Trump first won. I'm sure I have it.
I've literally been reading Russian literature for like years.
For so long. But like all of these like leading American liberal intellectuals have fucking nothing to say about this, or they've opted to move to Canada.
Yeah.
Right? Like what an absence of responsibility, a complete abdication of their duties. You know what I mean? I think that's the theme. Abdication of duty.
I literally could move to Canada if I wanted to, and I'm choosing not to.
I honestly, when I was thinking about this today, I sort of wanted to like a plague on all their houses. Do you know what I mean? Like it's time. I remember Sean King, who was a leading activist.
Yeah, he was like a scammer.
So I think that that's debated. I think a lot of people would say that he's not. Okay, so Sarah thinks he's a scammer. I know the other side of this is that he was not a scammer and that he was being constantly targeted because he was like being taken down for his political beliefs. Let's remain agnostic on that. But he got kicked off of Instagram pretty soon after October 7th for all the activism he was doing around what was happening in Gaza. And I ended up communicating with him.
Really? Like about what? You were like, I stand with you?
You know what? I guess I could find the conversation. I don't even remember how it started. But basically, I was in a state of like frenzy when the war started. Like with just the first few months, just like seeing the destruction and the bombing. And basically we were talking and we had this idea where we're like, well, I don't know if I said this or maybe he said this, is like, but if just enough of us go, like we just have to go there. And then if like enough of us go to Rafah and push against the walls. Like if enough people go, we can break this siege. You know, this level of desperation of like, what is it that we have to do? Because our leaders are doing nothing, right? But now like people are trying to go.
Wait, so do you know what happened actually to the people who were trying to like cross the desert and go and open the gate? I don't know.
That's what we want to find out.
I think that they got stopped, but
I'm sure I know all the boats, which I feel like the boats is like a little bit of that's virtue signaling to me. The like, you heard about these flotillas.
The freedom flotillas. I don't think that's I think it's like.
It's a political gesture, sure. But I feel like starting off on a journey that you know will never succeed, I don't think is fundamentally, pragmatically makes sense.
I think it's you're putting your body on the line. Like it's not self-immolation, but it's like you are putting your body on the line. You are taking yourself out of your very comfortable life to yes, it is a gesture, but like they had aid and like it's like all of these desperate gestures. That's when I started crying at the protest when they were talking about the Egyptians filling plastic water bottles with rice and throwing them into the sea, hoping that they would reach Gaza. You know, it's like anything. I think that anything. Look, I'm not gonna. I think the Freedom Flotilla is cool.
Okay.
Especially if like someone like Greta Thunberg, who like is a liberal darling, and like all of these liberals who are like
also the Antichrist, according to Peter Thiel. But anyway,
Greta Thunberg.
Oh, we didn't talk about that.
He called her the Antichrist.
He literally thinks she's the Antichrist.
Wait, what?
Wait, dude, how did we not talk about this? In his interview with Ross Douthat, who, for the record, Ross, you're a fucking terrible interviewer. He doesn't know how to interview anyone. I've only listened to 2 interviews of his, and both of his, he's so uncomfortable and doesn't know how to handle his guests that it just like abruptly ends. It's so fucking weird.
Also, you call yourself a Christian, and yet you are justifying this war?
Catholic?
Yeah.
Even the Pope. I mean, I'm sure he hated the Pope.
Okay.
R.I.P.
So Peter Thiel
thinks that Greta Thunberg is the Antichrist because she stands for like this kind of anti-progress, slow, what is it called? Degrowth. Yeah, that like that is actually what we have to fear is not authoritarianism. This is a man who also wanted to start a foreign nation on the ocean just for rich people that wasn't democratic. That was Peter Thiel's project for like 15 fucking years. I don't know if he succeeded.
I wish they all went there and then a tsunami hit them.
I wish they fucking went there. Yeah, he thinks that it's not authoritarianism, right? It's not totalitarianism. It's literally Greta Thunberg is the Antichrist.
Greta Thunberg is just
autistic fucking teenager.
Yeah. I think she's cool. You know what? I used to be like, Greta Thunberg, a little irritating, but you know, she's earned my respect.
Is that a sin? Do you know what I mean? To like not be able to read the room?
Yeah, for a woman to be irritating, it's like basically our God-given right.
But also I'm just like, so Peter Thiel, who's got so much more fucking money than God, he thinks that the enemy number 1 is Greta Thunberg?
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's the world we live in.
Peter Thiel is a psychopath.
But all of these rich people are psychopaths.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's time to flip the narrative. There's so few of them, you guys.
Should we clear the air that Francesca and I are not actually anarchists?
I'm definitely not an anarchist.
We're open to the anarchist ideology. We're open to exploring it, but I would not identify as an anarchist.
I don't identify as an anarchist, but what I do identify is someone who believes that the rich need to come down.
Yeah, totally. So that's why I think that it's cool that, okay, so if Greta Thunberg has the attention of people like Peter Thiel, you know, it's like, so I think it's cool that she like went on that Freedom Flotilla. And
I agreed with. There was one that happened recently where I was like, there was just a lot of Instagramming happening from it. And I was just a little bit like, okay.
Well, that's how they tell people that it's happening.
I guess so. Okay. Sarah, I'm willing to come over to your perspective on this for sure. I just like, it's about numbers. It's a numbers game. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just have to get enough people. Like, what do we have to do? That's the other thing that I hate about this is like, part of this is like, I think that this is being perpetrated. If I was going to get conspiratorial, I think this is being perpetrated to make us feel that as like the hoi polloi, we are fucking powerless. There's nothing we can do. There's this strip of land. There's these children dying, being bombed, and there's nothing we can fucking do because these few gatekeepers in power are saying we've decided that these children's deaths don't matter and fuck the rest of you, the billions other rest of you. It's what we think that goes.
Yeah.
But I refuse.
Yeah, but I think that like it takes a lot of like it takes a lot to get to the like this issue has been so stigmatized that like people have been so afraid for so long to say anything about it, you know? And like I think we're at the point where people are seeing it in full clarity, but like again, I think it might be too late. Like, look, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to like sugarcoat it. It's like, yeah, it's too fucking late. Like, you know, like at least whatever 17,000 children are dead, you know,
if not many
more are dying every single day. And like, yeah, like France, like, okay, like cool, Macron saying he's gonna recognize Palestine, like Keir Starmer fucking saying he's gonna recognize Palestine if Israel doesn't agree to a ceasefire, which I'm kind of like, okay, again, like what's the truth here? Either like Palestine should be recognized or not. Like, you know, it's such all of these gestures. And like what people were saying, like at the protest that I went to the other day, which was outside of the UN, when Saudi and France were holding this like conference to be like, what do we do about Palestine? Like they were saying like, open up the gates, like let the aid in, like Egypt, Jordan, like just open up the gates, you know? And like all of these people in the region are just kind of like idly watching by.
I know, but isn't Israel, and therefore the United States, the only nuclear power? I think people would say like, that's the only nuclear power there. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the problem, right? With anybody having nukes, not everybody having nukes is like...
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and Israel clearly is out of its fucking mind.
Yeah, I mean, Netanyahu is like...
But if the Saudis wanted to do something... the Saudis could fucking do something.
Yeah, but they don't, because they care much more about getting that Western economy, that Western money. Yeah.
How's everyone's relationship with God doing? That's what I really wonder. Because that's the thing, is that like ultimately, like, yes, it may be too late for the people of Gaza, but like the sins have fallen upon the heads of those in power. Do you know what I mean? And like the karmic retribution will come, and that is unavoidable.
And I hope it happens within their lifetimes, you know?
But the thing is like, in my opinion, they're spirits and bodies. So like, they're kind of fucked. Be it this lifetime, be it the next, be it 12. Like, I believe in a system where the justice is always perfect and prevails. Do you know what I mean? And that might not be justice in the way we think of it, like the right thing happening, but like, people will have to pay their dues, you know, and their sins are being counted, and they will come to Judgment Day.
I'm comforted that you believe that. No, I believe people will come to Judgment Day.
There's no free lunch, baby. There's no free fucking lunch.
Although it is a Jubilee year in the Catholic Church. So if you make a pilgrimage, you...
Rossed out that, listen up.
No, Rossed out that. It's too late for him. If you make a pilgrimage, you automatically go to heaven. So I personally will be making a pilgrimage to the Shrine of Mother Cabrini, which is uptown. I'm going to start downtown, and I'm going to walk.
Oh my God, can I come?
Yeah, I thought I'd already invited you.
No, you definitely didn't tell me.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
A date has not been set, but...
Okay.
So probably all the war criminals should consider doing that. And the first war criminals, I would like to suggest doing a pilgrimage, because karmic retribution will be swiftly coming your way, or all of the
rain
people,
down upon your heads like a plague upon your houses.
All the people behind the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Don't be fooled by the name. It is not humanitarian. So, okay. So Israel, another lie that it has been spouting for now 2 years is that Hamas has been stealing aid from the UN.
Not true.
Israel officials just came out and were like, oh, like, actually, yeah, like, looks like they weren't. You know who is stealing aid and looting aid? Armed gangs. Do you know who armed them? Take a guess.
Netanyahu.
Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu found like all of these frickin' loser criminals in Gaza, gave them guns, and was like, go henceforth. And he did it to like destabilize Hamas. And now these people are stealing from the trucks. Now, you know, I think people are also stealing from the trucks who are like civilians.
Because they're fucking starving and they're trying to feed their children.
So Israel used this narrative of Hamas stealing from the UN and UNRWA, which was like previously the main aid distributor in Gaza, having ties to October 7th.
Which was like, in the ties they found were like someone's uncle, someone who worked for UNRWA's uncle was in Hamas. Like, these are the kind of ties we're talking about.
Yeah. So anyway, so they basically, behind the scenes, Israel was like, okay, we got to come up with a new plan for aid distribution. So
since we've kicked out the UN.
Yeah. So this new plan is called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. So it was sorry, this is like a little complicated. I'll try to say this in a coherent way. But there is a company called Orbis Operations. They're an intelligence contractor, and they've been working with Israeli authorities to design the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation since January 2024. At the time, the VP was this ex-CIA guy, Philip Riley. He was also a part-time advisor to Boston Consulting Group. So he brought them on to help with the feasibility study for this new aid operation. And they also built a financial model for the post-war reconstruction of Gaza, which included cost estimates for relocating hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from the Strip. And they basically looked at the numbers and they were like, yeah, it's cheaper to relocate them than to like help, like the money that it would take to invest to rebuild Gaza at this point. So in 2025, I guess this like all came out, and Boston Consulting Group did cut ties with the I'm just going to call it the GHF. And 2 partners were asked to resign, and they had invoiced for $4 million, but they declined to collect. So also, like, I just want to let everybody know that like another conspiracy is that like that's true is like people are making money off of this behind the scenes. So Orbis Operations worked with the Israel government and Boston Consulting Group to architect this aid operation. And they were like, okay, great. So we're going to have independent aid delivered, and we're going to hire security contractors to like separate it from the IDF. So Orbis was like, great, we're going to found a new company called Safe Reach Solutions, and they're going to be the primary contractor. So the same company that like architected this is now profiting off of it continuously. And then Philip Riley, the CIA guy, he becomes the CEO for Safe Reach Solutions. Another VP at Orbis, the intelligence contractor, joins SRS as well. Her name is Jen Counter, and she is also a part-time teacher at Columbia. So at a time when like 80 students have been expelled from Columbia for protesting this war, Jen Counter continues to be employed there.
Wow.
And, you know, she is partially responsible for like at least 1,100 deaths that have happened at the aid sites. To be clear, like none of these people are humanitarian professionals or have any experience.
They don't have experience. Yeah. They just don't know. Like it's a danger. Like when you have a population that's starving like this, it's a very delicate matter of how you distribute aid, which is why the UN used to do it, right? Because they are good at it and they know how to do it.
Yeah. And the UN did it from over 400 sites.
And what is it that Vicky said they were called? Like level 3? What was the like... do you know what I'm talking about? Like different levels. Like when you're dealing with with high conflict areas, right? It's like more and more expertise is needed. But of course, these are like American evangelicals, so they were like expertise. You know what I mean? We'll just come in and figure it out.
So yeah, so the UN had like 400 plus distribution sites. The GHF has 4. It has 4 sites, all in the south of Gaza. And these sites are 5 to 8 miles from... They're all in areas that have been evacuated. So sorry, I'm just trying to find... Oh, yeah. So to receive aid, civilians must walk 5 to 8 miles through an active war zone, through areas where they have been told by the Israeli government, you cannot be here. And then they must walk 5 to 8 miles back. And you know what's not provided at these aid sites? Water. And so how the distribution happens is that and this is according to this guy, Tony Aguilar, who is kind of like a whistleblower. He was he's a retired Special Forces Green Beret, and he served for 25 years. And he participated in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. So this guy is like not some pussy, you know? This guy is used to seeing some horrifying stuff. He went there for 45 days and he was like, I'm out of here. Because what he saw was like too horrible to behold. And so what he said, best way I can describe how Palestinians reach the aid is Hunger Games, survival of the fittest. So what happens is they're basically told like, okay, the aid's open. And people start running. And whoever gets there first gets the aid. So you know who's not getting the aid? Women, children, elderly, disabled, you know? And in terms of when he got there, he was given like a semi-automatic rifle. And basically what they were told is to like disperse the crowd is to like shoot rubber bullets, tear gas. And what he's witnessing is that people are also shooting into the crowd.
Live ammunition.
And there's like this really horrifying video that he took where you can hear someone shout, "Woohoo, I think I got one. Yeah, boy." And he was like, he was shooting down a man. And he said at no time did he ever perceive a threat or see a weapon from a Palestinian. The only gunfire that he was coming near them was from the IDF. So he basically reported all of this to his supervisors, and he also was like, this one site is particularly dangerous and we're gonna have a disaster here. And then like a day in July, 20 people were trampled there. And like at that point he was like, okay, I'm leaving, because no one is invested in making this safer, making this more viable for people. So I kind of think like, yeah, I don't really know what, like, I don't really have any commentary on that. I think it all just speaks for itself. He witnessed on more than one occasion parents carrying their dead children who died of starvation. And so, like, what he was saying in this video, he's like, I'm not Hamas propaganda. Like, I am an American, and I saw this with my own eyes.
But you know what I would think if I were, like, a political scientist or just a person with common sense? That if you were concerned about creating more terrorists in Palestine, this would be the sure line of action to take, because whoever does survive from these hunger-style games definitely isn't going to feel very charitable toward Israel.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I mean, put yourself in that position. Of course.
This is why I just don't really believe, and this is exactly what the article about Netanyahu said, like, I don't really believe that he's interested in this conflict ending. I don't even think he's really that interested in Israeli security. Because this would not be the path to take for the security of Israeli civilians.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. In the David Remnick article, he was saying that, like, the kind of energy in Israel is that, like, they're about to enter, like, it's like Hezbollah's down, Iran's down, Gaza's down, like, Hamas is down, and, like, they're about to enter this golden era in Israel, kind of like the prophesied age of like peace and security.
They are sowing the seeds of violence and hatred. What the fuck are they? This is the thing. It's like, if you're gonna go by the Hebrew Bible, right? What does it say? An eye for an eye.
Damn.
This is not an eye for an eye.
Yeah, the God of the Old Testament is really petty and mean.
Like, I just don't.
Did you see what he let happen to Job? For no reason at all.
Bro, no. But here's the biblical exegesis on Job, though, is that what scholars have pointed to is the only hint in the book of Job for what happened is that there's this one phrase where it says, all that he feared has befallen him. So what some people say is that it was the very fear itself that Job had that made God turn against him, right? And what I would say is that, like, it would seem that based on their actions, all that they fear will befall them. And perhaps the Israeli state is attempting to make it all befall upon others first, but that's just never how it's ever panned out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that, like, the lengths that Netanyahu has gone to stay in power, like that, like, this war is one of them. He's had to form a coalition with the most extreme groups. And I mean, another thing they were talking about in the article was that, like, a lot of, like, hard right Israelis feel like October 7th was in many ways like this moment of grace. It was like, you know, like
a permission slip.
It was a permission slip. Yeah. It was like this horrible tragedy that has now permitted them to, like, go all the way. And yeah, no, I mean.
But then what are we going to see? I mean, I won't even go there. Something I was reading today. I want to take it back to America for a moment, which I was reading about the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, and Jonathan Greenblatt, I believe is the name of the guy who heads it up, and just how they started taking an approach in the last 5 to 6 years, and it really ramped up after October 7th with equating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. That previous to that, those two were not necessarily equated, but they've really kind of pushed that politically in their organization and throughout politics in the United States. And just what a deeply, deeply dangerous endeavor that is for Jews, specifically in America, to equate Israel with Judaism, right? That is fucking dangerous. Because in my opinion, anti-Semitism is real. It is a very real thing. I think that it was flown as a false flag for so many justifications of bullshit after October 7th. But like the fact that there's been all this political project to equate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism is going to make people hate the state of Israel, right? That's going to make people hate, and it's going to make people hate Jews. Right? Because now in their mind, Jews and Israel are the exact same fucking thing when they are not the same thing. Israel is a government, right?
Yeah.
And it's fucking dangerous. And I just feel like the bedfellows that the Anti-Defamation League is getting in with, which is like the hard right in the United States, like it's fucking there was some tweet that somebody put out of like after, the Anti-Defamation League made no comment when, who's the dude? Mahmoud Khalil was taken there, like, historically, has it gone well for the Jews when the government starts like determining who and who is not like somebody who deserves protection under the law? Do you know what I mean? Like, this doesn't end well. That it is a dangerous, that they're like the means to the ends are gonna fucking blow up in their faces.
Totally. And it's such like a mindfuck because it's like there are like Jews and Zionists who are like citing the Holocaust as the reason why like this is permitted, and then there are also Jews who are like many in New York who are like the Holocaust is the exact reason that we are against this, because like we learned from history.
This has been visited upon us, and so then you would think we would then not want to visit it upon others.
So, I agree with you. And I just think it's I just don't really know how you can exist right now and like not feel haunted by this. I feel haunted by it.
I also think this will be borne out. We'll see that this is the end of the fallacy and the fantasy of the two-state solution. I think that the direction that this is going to go in is a one state with equal rights for all. Which is literally Israel's worst nightmare.
I mean, we can't, like, I feel like we're not going to talk about this today, but like, what's happening in the West Bank while everyone's distracted is like Israel is going full force with the settlements. Like it's, people just don't care. Like No Other Land, the documentary that won the Oscar, one of the filmmakers on it was just killed by settlers. And there's really no Hamas in the West Bank, but it's like really, really bad there right now. And no one's paying attention. I just
I guess if I was just thinking strategically as Israel, it just doesn't seem, I get the fantasy of like overwhelming force, but it's a fantasy. Like you cannot completely eradicate everybody who's opposed to you. And you cannot and like Israel,
America's done it.
Eradicate, yeah. You mean with the Native Americans?
Yeah. Genocides
have happened. Yeah, Albania. I guess but the thing is, I just don't know. Like Israel is well on its way to becoming a pariah state, and I don't think they can walk it back. And like that matters in a world of global, because it was, in a world of like global trade, which I understand Trump is maybe trying to curtail, but whatever. We're still a global society, at least right now, from a money perspective. Like being a pariah state it does not function. Because if they continue in this line, like Israel's gonna become like fucking North Korea. Do you know what I mean? And like, I guess it's chill. Actually, I was talking to somebody who just went to North Korea, and they were like, yeah, it was pretty fun.
Who? Wait, you don't expose them on the podcast. That's crazy. It was really fun.
I think they meant like it was interesting or whatever.
Yeah, that's how I feel about going to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but like I just like Israel. I think Israel is turning away from the world. and like, is that a good existence? I don't know.
Is this real or fake news that Leonardo DiCaprio is opening up a hotel in Israel?
I saw that and I was like, that's for sure fake news, but I don't know.
Okay. We'll post in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
If we find out. Yeah, and I guess people, like, I'm seeing people be like, well, Hamas should just, like, let go of the hostages, which I'm like, I mean, I do, like, Hamas is...
gnarly.
I think Hamas is willing to, like, I don't believe that Hamas, regardless of the devastation to Gaza, will ever back down.
I'm also, like, at this point, like, I'm like, what hostages? There's no fucking way anybody's alive anymore. That's what I mean. Like, I don't believe that Hamas had tunnel systems that were so sophisticated. They've been dropping 2,000-pound bombs all over Gaza. It's fucking rubble. Something like 85% of it is rubble. I don't believe that there's some Shangri-La where Hamas is holed up eating grapes.
It's definitely not a Shangri-La, but I think that people think there's like 20 hostages still alive. Based on what information I'm not sure of. But I'm also like, why would Hamas ever give up? Like, just from a strategic perspective, that is their only collateral.
But also, like, if Netanyahu cared about the fucking hostages, he would have done things differently. He doesn't give a fuck about the hostages.
No, he doesn't, and that's why, absolutely. The only time the hostages were released during the ceasefire, and he won't agree to a ceasefire, so... yeah.
So it's like nobody's lives matter in the machinations and the power plays of these like incredibly powerful politicians.
There's also something like 50 IDF soldiers have killed themselves since October 7th. It's like,
yeah, I mean, they're like the psychic wounds. I mean, it's just like the psychic wounds are insurmountable. Like, it is, like, I was talking about this before, like, the Germans are still so fucked up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're still so fucked up in my personal experience. Like, the Israelis are gonna...
Our personal experience.
The Israelis...
Wait.
Are you laughing at me?
I'm just thinking of one person.
I like briefly dated a German and I was like, oh my God, you're so fucked up. But I mean, I think it's people talk about it. Do you know what I mean? The psychic stain, the pallor that hangs over a nation that perpetuates a genocide is heavy. And you can't just clear the air with some fucking sage. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like Israel is calling down upon itself a karmic plague that they are completely ill-equipped to handle and will be playing out for generations.
Totally. I mean, I guess to bring it back to America and the City Sweeney ad, I'm just like, where is everyone? Where is everyone? Like, where is everyone who was like when I worked at a nonprofit organization and we did this whole like DEI anti-oppression training thing for like probably a year. And I was one of the leaders of the White Caucus. Wait, have I talked about all this on the podcast?
I don't think you have. And it's like, this should be its own episode, but.
Okay. Well, it wasn't, it sounds really bad, but it was
really bad because it's fucking vanity of vanities. Yeah. It's nothing. It has nothing to do with actually helping people who need help. It's so that white people can feel better about themselves.
Well, it actually made everyone feel really bad. Because White Caucus was a time for us to talk about our racism and how we're all racist, which we are for sure. But
it's easier to pay consultants to come in and have white people sit around and talk about their racism than actually like take a stand with people like the Palestinians who are being harmed.
Yeah, well, I was like, you could be like paying us all a little bit more. Like, I was like working at this organization where like all of the black people were the lowest paid people, the security and facility staff, And so it was like,
this is the hypocrisy of wokeness.
We should do a full episode on it because I have a lot to say about it. But anyway, I'm just like, like I've been like for my whole life almost like in these liberal theater circles, all this stuff. And I'm like, where is everyone? Like, where is everyone that was so vocal during BLM? Where is everyone who was like posting all the time about reparations and defund the police and all this stuff? I'm like, where are you?
It was just radical chic, man. It was just a moment of radical chic and everybody got on board, but I don't think anybody really gave a fuck.
Yeah.
Right? You don't look at what people say, you look at what people do. Look at the feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just going to the protests and I'm like, all these like, you know,
I'm sure people are going there to get laid. Somebody.
The protests?
Yeah, for sure, dude.
No, I'm saying, like, I go there and I'm kind of like, where, you know, like, I'm like, it's kind of like the same crew that you would expect. It's like
the anarchists,
Palestinians. Yes, it's like the DSA, you know, like the very kind of.
But this is the book club we haven't started yet. It only takes 3% of the population to overturn the governance. So, like, let's just keep eking away.
1, 2. We'll see how many followers we have. Yeah. Okay. So Ron Mamdani, everybody's hating, like, the New York Post keeps dragging out that he, like, posted all these, like, honestly kind of embarrassing tweets about defund the police. Like, there's no queer.
Years ago.
Yeah, like when it was popular. There's no queer liberation without defund the police. Like, stuff like that, you know? But I'm like, you know what? Like, Zoran's out there. He's doing the work now, you know? I'm like, we all these liberals, all these woke liberals, we all had tweets like that. We all had thoughts like that. And yet, like, now that time has passed, a lot of people are just, like, resting on their laurels. Where it's like, you know, it's like we actually have the power to, like, I'm not going to say stop an injustice, like a horrible, injustice is not even the right word. It's like stop a genocide because it's already happening. But it's like it's within our power to do something right now. And people are like, you know, I was listening to this podcast and what they were talking about was like, it was like Trap House, if you listen to it. But they were talking about France acknowledging or saying that they would acknowledge Palestine as a state. And they were like, it's a preemptive land acknowledgement, you know?
Oh, my God.
And that's kind of...
Dude.
I feel like that's kind of the truth.
Land acknowledgements, it's time to kill them, in my opinion. But we can discuss that another day.
Yeah, we'll save that for another episode. So, on that note, I mean...
What is there to say?
Call your Congress people.
They're all fucking paid out by AIPAC.
I know. Oh, but I did get a text. Okay, update on my ongoing beef with Dan Goldman.
Yeah.
I did get
texted you?
No. I'm in his Instagram comments every day. I was like, stop posting on Instagram and stop starving Gaza. I'm sick of you. I can't wait until you're out of office. But I got a text from this guy who was like, hey, I'm running against Dan Goldman. Like, do you want to help me? Donate. And then I was like, I fucking hate Dan Goldman. And then I got a response that was like, yeah, a lot of people feel like that. Here's the link to donate. And then I did look at the photo of him and it was a turnoff to me, honestly. He's like like long blonde hair, like very full beard. I was a little like, okay, like I don't...
Pragmatism. We believe in political pragmatism here. I believe in it.
I wish that you had a slightly different look.
Cut your fucking hair. That's what I have to say. Shave the beard, cut your hair, blondie.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a turnoff, but I'm going to look into his politics. I might honestly donate to him.
Let's have him on. Let's talk it out. Maybe we can convince him to spiff up his look.
To get a makeover?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just something about that look for guys that I'm a little like...
If you have a really long beard and you're a white dude, highly questionable.
His beard's not that long. It's more like the beautiful flowing hair that I'm like, it makes you seem a little less serious. Is that like, I guess that's gendered because I don't feel that way about women.
No, I completely agree with it. Gender, you know, is a thing.
Some say. All right. Well, that was really depressing, but... Any final thoughts?
Eat the rich.
I wish I knew some. Okay, well, see you next time. Class dismissed. Bye.